This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, just me and my only friends, which includes my boy Guapito.
There he is.
What's poppin', Guaps?
Getting ready for the series, debating on how many tournaments I'm going to play.
I mean, what is that? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's time to not be a nit and
Over
start firing.
on 5 tournaments? I was going to set the over-under at 4. 4.5.
I think 4 is a good line.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we know how many tournaments you guys are playing. Burke.
I'm not playing this year. I didn't get any action. I'm out.
What do you mean? I thought people gave you action.
No. 2 people DM me, both of which were Lynn's friends. Both of them suggested they were in for 35-1. Crickets.
It's funny because at this exact moment, in your mind, you might be like telling the truth. Like you're like serious.
I'm playing the 25K 6 max.
But that's it.
Look,
but that's,
I'm playing
did say this.
I'm for sure playing the 25K 6 max. Here's the thing.
You're going to play that 10K win tournament.
What the fuck does that have to do with the bracelet?
No, he said how many events you playing.
That's not an event. That's a win event.
Sounds like an event.
That's not it.
Not the same thing. Not the World Series. Here's what's going to happen. No one's going to take me up on my bracelet offer, and I'm going to win the 25K 6 max, and then I'm never going to get a fucking bracelet offer. Meanwhile, the 25K
is that so bad?
Meanwhile, the 25K doesn't even count. So what should happen is a bunch of people take me up on the offer. I win the 25K 6 max. I'm now too rich to care about playing the rest of the World Series,
right.
And they get free money.
Mm-hmm.
But
Come on. This is the play.
Why does the 25K not count?
10Ks and below.
Oh.
it's bigger
Whoa.
fields.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bigger fields. Yeah, makes sense.
I would negotiate the odds. I mean, I think 35-1 is very fair. I think everybody who's talking single digits is completely drunk. But there's some wiggle room there. Like, hit me up. Maybe 33.5-1 is fair. I don't know. I'll negotiate a little bit. We got this used car on the lot, trying to ship it off. I'll give you guys a little discount.
You really want the action, don't you? You want a reason to play.
Yeah,
It is.
I want a reason to play.
Yeah,
I also
the money
want
and
to
the bracelet and the notoriety. And
there isn't that much money.
No, I mean there's money. What do you mean there's not that much money?
He's having so much fun at Bellagio.
No, it's not even that. The tournaments are not that lucrative, man. Like if you're not playing high rollers, your ROIs are not very big. You're going to play, 50 1Ks this summer? No, obviously not, but Conrad might.
What?
So he plays 50 1Ks this summer, and his ROIs, call it 35%. That's pretty fucking good. That's a bad summer for me. That is a bad summer.
That's a bad. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if I win 17-5, bad summer.
Right. Well, it's because it doesn't translate, right? Because you go from playing super high. I mean, you play high stakes cash, and then you play mid stakes.
No, of course, but
so it doesn't translate.
Yeah, of course, I agree with that. But even if I were playing 10Ks, your ROI is going to be lower. Like, say I somehow got good at tournaments, which I'm currently not.
Stop saying that. Aren't we running a tournament academy?
I'm not. Hunt is. Hunt's the one who's very good. I would put Hunt in all the events that I have the opportunity to play. He belongs in 10Ks and above for sure. He's good enough. But if, say, I got good and I have a 15% ROI on 10Ks and above, still not a lot. It's a lot of fucking variance. Mm-hmm. Tournaments are hard, man. Tournaments are the dream.
They're not easy. I'll tell you that much.
You know what he sounds like? He sounds like someone who's on a pretty big upswing in the cash world. That's what he sounds like.
Tournaments.
tournaments, you know. But the thing is, right, because that's how it is. It's like you go on a huge like downswing in cash, and then you like bink a couple tournament scores. You're like, I love tournaments. They're
Who
the
the
greatest thing
fuck
ever.
binks a couple tournament scores? Jeremy Becker?
Yes.
Like
He's probably on the final table right now.
Nobody
Georgie,
wins
man.
a bunch of fucking tournaments, man. That's just not the way it goes unless you're playing small high rollers or the daily at the fucking win.
Yeah, I gotta tell you.
People have big score. People bink scores. You know?
I gotta
That's
tell
what
you,
happens.
one of my
Not
favorite things that's
as
happened in the
much.
last couple
Cherries.
months was following Georgie on Instagram.
Why were you telling me that Georgie's run was different than Becker's? Were they not just all win dailies?
No.
He won the 3,500 win in December for 300 or something like that, or a big number. He won the 1,100 that I final tabled at the Venetian for 80. He won the 600 that next tournament, 600 at Venetian for like 42 or
See,
50.
that's
They
a
were all-
sun run.
Right.
You want to know what his take home's going to be at the end of the year? 100,000.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Man.
he played.
He's going to
Yeah,
play a
he's
lot of
played
fucking
everything.
buy-ins.
Yeah, he was in Florida,
Yeah.
10K.
You're a mid-stakes grinder. You play $1 million worth of buy-ins, and you hope to have a 30% ROI. That's a great fucking year.
That is a great year.
But that's an impossible year to get $1 million worth of volume in and maintain a 30% ROI. Not impossible, but like, you know,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of years where you don't do that.
Right. That's why me as a recreational player, I can just play when I want and then try to hit.
Listen, this is what tournaments are meant for. They are the low barrier of entry to get people interested in the game and sink the fucking hooks in. You know, it's our version of slot machines. Like, oh, look, a fixed cost. You might even be able to brush elbows with D-negs. Maybe Sean Deeb sprinting between your table and the Badoogie deuce to 7 triple draw.
It's also like a lot of people. It could be very hard to win $100,000 in cash. Like you have to put a lot of volume, whatever you have to do, right? Where you can just like put up $1,000, $500, and have a 6-figure score.
Big windfall, and then they slowly crawl it all back or claw it all back. 1K at a time. Give me that hundo.
Let's get
Put
it
it back
popping.
in the ecosystem. Let's go.
We love
Tournaments are the greatest fucking racket we accidentally came across in this industry. Like, nobody at the top was like, you know what we need? We need a pyramid scheme that everybody buys into, and no one can actually beat.
Preach.
So somehow,
You guys are miserable.
Honestly, this might have been Doyle's.
It's World Series time. You guys are bringing it down.
you guys
Like,
are fucking
it's really
busy,
bringing the mood
busy.
down. Like, I'm so excited. The World Series is starting next week, and like, we're getting pumped up. And Berkey's over here just fucking pissing all over my parade.
Yeah, it's
Oh, Jesus Christ!
faulty, man.
Someone make me bracelet bets.
He's trying. I see what he's doing.
Someone make me goddamn bracelet bets. This
know
might have
what
been
he's doing.
Doyle's greatest final gift to us, man. He started this whole goddamn racket. He was like, you know what? If we do a winner take all here, ain't nobody gonna fucking win that thing, man. And then what will happen is TV will come in and we'll make it huge. We'll give them trophies and accolades and media attention. They'll be the heroes of the industry. And you know what they'll do? They'll come and sit in my fucking cash game.
What if that was his vision the whole time?
I'm telling you, man, this guy, wise beyond his years.
Yep.
R.I.P. Doyle. I saw the tweet he put out from the grave.
It was amazing.
Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Markup
Good.
policing.
Right?
Matt
It's like Madison's taking strays from Doyle from the grave.
Beyond the grave.
just
Wild.
such a great exchange.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was Todd. I love Todd so much for being able to find a little humor in such tragedy. But maybe, just maybe, it was actually a draft saved in Doyle's tweets, which would be so fucking incredible.
Right, yeah.
Speaking of Todd, he opened the
Knights game.
opened the Golden Knights game.
Yeah,
That was pretty cool.
He did the
My
horn.
God,
Did he?
if
Nice.
that was like public information before, the poker world would have smashed the Knights.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that's my ultimate goal: is to die with enough funny drafts saved that whoever like gets a hold of my account just mass fire strays all over the place.
You think Twitter
I
will be a
got you.
thing?
Yeah, of
when
course.
you
It'll be something else, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not far away.
You're
It's
not.
a very
Didn't you-
sad day today.
I just
Didn't you just recommend a book on how to live longer?
yeah, you guys should all read it.
Yeah, I think I might.
I'd send it to my group of friends back home. Shout out to the boys. I know you guys are probably not listening,
No,
so
Jace might be.
so now I'm gonna make fun of you.
Gumpy, Skimpy,
Bumpy,
Bumpy, and
Bumpy, Lumpy, and Gumpy.
Only Skimpy has a nickname. Well, Simmons, but his last name's Simon, so
Yeah.
it's close enough. I sent them the Peter Tia Outlive book, which is phenomenal. We're gonna have TJ on later this week to talk about his journey into personal training, into dieting, trying to help people get in shape for the World Series, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to talk to him about Outlive. Hopefully he's read it. I'm gonna hit him up after this, see if he's listened to it at all. But it made me. There was a very powerful point in the first chapter where Peter Tia was a doctor who then went into finance in Silicon Valley. Basically, was in charge of risk management, and then went back to practicing medicine thereafter with kind of this new approach of understanding like how critical risk is within the medicine community, and how much or how antiquated the system is to not care about risk factors, but instead just treat the disease as it presents, right? So basically the way he saw it is the vast majority of the patients that he would come in contact with that had what he calls one of the 4 horsemen diseases, which is heart disease, neurological disease, cancer, or diabetes. It was too late. And they're all a byproduct of a slow death. So these diseases take decades to kill you. By the time you get treated and diagnosed, though, you're in your last stage. And he was basically talking about all the preventative measures. That's the premise of the book. And it immediately hit me where I'm just like, all my best friends that I've known my entire life are married with kids, smoking cigarettes, drinking Red Bulls, 50 pounds overweight, eating goddamn junk food with the kids, the chicken nuggets and all this other stuff. And I was like, and I'm not going to get through to them. But if even one of them will take me up on reading this fucking book, hopefully it'll trigger something. Because like the first thing that came to mind is like, Jace is definitely pre-diabetic. He's probably not diagnosed.
Post-diabetic.
No, I don't think. No, he would be having serious problems.
Yeah.
And it's like, he probably doesn't know it because when was the last time you went to the fucking doctor? Right?
You're asking me or him?
You.
Me. I was there like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, prior. Prior to that.
Probably 5 months.
Okay.
I go to the doctor regularly.
I
That's
have
the wrong person.
Yeah.
yeah, apparently. I have
all of your friends. I'm one of the healthier ones.
maybe. Well, I mean, going to the doctor isn't really even that much of a congratulatory thing, right? Like most general practitioners are, no offense, but like relatively useless.
Yeah.
They're not really interested in optimization. Same thing that like Atia was talking about. Like they're not really interested in preventative measures or optimization or anything like that. They're going to see you, they're going to look, and they're going to say, oh, your cholesterol's high or your insulin levels are high. Let's get you off of meat. And you're going to be like, what the fuck? Why meat?
Yeah. Right.
When it should be like, let's get you off processed foods. Let's get you off sugars,
Right.
whatever. So, I mean, everything comes with a grain of salt.
You put on your meat.
Right, exactly. And truly, like, the medicine industry is so vast that whenever you're going through this schooling, a lot of it is glossed over, nutrition being one of the biggest ones. We have a PT friend who plays pickleball with us. And this isn't really that big of a deal. It's like not that much of an oversight, but it was jarring to me where we were having a discussion and he goes, well, carbohydrates are 3 calories per gram. And I just looked at him. I'm just
Even
like,
I know that's not right.
I'm like, it's 4.
4.
And he's like, is it? I'm like, yeah. Like,
Fat is 9.
come on, man. You're doctor adjacent here. We should know these things.
Right? Carbs and protein are 4, and then fat is 9.
You'd be surprised how much stuff just gets looked up
No,
immediately.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Everything's Googled and they feel comfortable to translate.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that, like, he was like, we never took a nutrition course.
Right.
Like, I only know that from reading something in passing.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
not
a
like it
gram
was
of fat is how many calories?
9.
Okay.
And that was the point he was trying to make, is that, you know, fat is more calorically dense. But in any event, like, I'm seeing that the optimization industry is going to really blossom, I think, in the next 10 to 20 years, especially with the advent of AI, because I think that AI will advance. Maybe this is a bit of a stretch, but my best guess is AI will force advancements on medicine, right? Like, we're just going to get more clinical once we have machines that are capable of doing what the doctor does, whether it's diagnostic medicine or surgery, which we already have a lot of robotics that can kind of go into that realm as is. Where I wonder, like, where the dirt meets the road, so to speak, is that's not very profitable for the industry, right? Like, a lot of the objection to medicine now is that it's just pharmaceutical and it's treated with Band-Aids. So it's like, if AI does push this advancement in, you know, maybe curing cancer, or at least finding preventative care or ways to discover it much, much earlier, how does that play with an industry that is heavily incentivized to just kind of market and sell drugs and solutions in a bottle, you know? So I think that at some point this industry is going to reach a crux where something has to give. And I don't know if that will be government involvement, which I feel like our medicine industry is very different than most others. I don't, given that it's free healthcare in Canada, I imagine the pharmaceutical companies don't have nearly as much of a heavy hand, I guess, in medicine.
Right. They don't like price gouge. They don't do stuff like that, where like there was always a debate whether we could like get pharmaceuticals from other countries, or get, you know, or negotiate with other foreign countries, just so the prices could.
Well, I know Mark Cuban recently launched, I believe, an online pharmacy of some sort.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like crazy the price differentials, but
right.
And I know all of that's heavily rooted in lobbying and, you know, pharmaceutical companies having a lot of power in this space. But what I'm saying is, if the prices were to come down, does that then change the incentive of the entire medicine industry as a whole?
Maybe,
right?
Yeah.
Like, are they incentivized to prevent now rather than treat?
Right.
And that seems to be what the crux of this book is. Very long tangent. Just give me a bracelet bet. Anybody listening? I'm out here worried about dying. I need at least 35-1.
How the fuck did we even get there?
I mentioned the book, and then
Yeah. By the way, you should just give your friends like a free roll of like $300 to read it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't incentivize them enough. I offered to pay for the book. That's not good enough. That's definitely not good enough.
No, hell no.
I think you're right. Yeah, they're definitely money motivated.
Yeah,
like, if I put out like 1K bounties of like, if you read this and pass a quiz, I will give you $1,000.
I'll do that.
At least half of them. It's a group of 6. At least half of them will read it. The problem is, I think the half that will read it are the half that don't need it. So, like, my friend Randy's a personal trainer. He'll read it.
Right. He was like the one that responded,
of course.
in the group.
Lamanna will read it. And then Glenn is like 185 pounds of pure shred.
Yeah.
Like, he'll read it. It's like, no, you were the 3 that this was not aimed at. John, Skippy, and Chase. I'm calling you fucking out. Read the goddamn book.
Only one of them smoke, which is good.
No, John smokes.
No.
John smoked his whole life.
Does he?
He has 2 kids and 1 on the way, man. He's been fucking chain smoking when no one's looking the entire time. Poor guy.
Man.
Funny.
Shout out to John. Congratulations on the 1 on the way, big guy.
That's right.
I know that was unexpected.
We don't know that.
No, I do know that.
Okay.
Oh, man. All right. I guess let's get to the shit.
Little happy accidents.
Oh man, there's so much shit's going on.
There was a happy accident this weekend in the PGA Tour Championship.
I'm not sure that was an accident. That was pure skill, man.
Well, I guess. So I don't know. Do you guys know the actual backstory of how he got into the championship?
I don't.
Okay,
but
I don't either. I was trying to figure out in my research, but everybody's heavily reporting on all the things that occurred.
Yeah.
Right.
So there wasn't a lot of like backstory
Seconds
to this.
ago at the 15th. The fairy tale story gets better. A hole in one.
Sure did. Dumped it.
What a sick moment. What an absolute sick
All
moment.
right, so Michael Block is a 47-year-old club pro who managed to not only get his way into the PGA Championship, but gets paired up with Rory McIlroy, which in and of itself just like has to be an insane experience.
Yeah.
Then he aces the 15th on his final day, and to top it all off, he manages to get up and down for par on the 17th, which clinches him a tie for 15th place, guaranteeing him a spot in next week's.
No,
Next
for
year's.
the qualifier for the 2024.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I misread this article then.
So I wonder if that qualifies him also for the rest of 2023.
So what I read is that he receives a PGA Tour exemption, which, yeah, I guess since this is the championship, the new season now begins next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That must be what. So I didn't understand what the exemption meant. I didn't know if it just meant one more event or if it meant the entire schedule of the PGA Tour next year.
yeah, he won a $350K too. Somebody just put in there.
Oh,
That's
really?
pretty sick.
Yeah, that is really sick.
So that's like the other sick
Bro,
part.
he's probably making like $50 an hour teaching golf lessons.
So that's the other sick part about this. Like, he immediately he's gonna have paydays.
Yeah.
Like every event, he's already like.
Well, it's like make the cut, right?
Yeah. or
whatever
is that how it is? You're
I
supposed to
think
I
make
think
the
so.
like that,
I think some guys get appearance fees just for going.
cut? Okay.
So I think like Tiger in the past, maybe Tiger's a bad example, but we used to play with a golf pro at Red Rock. I can't remember his name, but he would literally just go for he would never make the cut. He would just go to get his appearance fee. It was like $5,000 to $15,000.
Yeah.
Shooter McGavin.
Not Shooter McGavin. Shooter. By the way, one of the best Twitter follows on the entire app. Shooter McGavin. This guy is incredible. I know this is going to get us demonetized, but I do want to watch his his call it post game interview. Very, very heartfelt.
You said it yesterday that this was the best week of your life. What do you call it now?
Thanks, Amanda. I appreciate you making me cry. It's amazing. I'm living a dream. I'm making sure that I enjoy this moment. I've learned that after my 46 years of life that it's not going to get better than this. There's no way. No chance in hell. So I'm going to enjoy this, and thank you.
We have loved watching you soak in every moment, and the cherry on top was what Jim Nance called an all-time up and down. This par save right here. What did you see?
I hadn't made very many putts today. I rolled it the same the last 3 days, and today, just for some reason, the ball was going to the lip, and that one snuck over the lip, and it made my day. And Rory was awesome, man. Everyone was awesome, and I can't thank everybody enough for being so cool to me. And cheers to the 29,000 PGA Tour professionals, PGA professionals in the world. It's for you guys.
We cannot wait to see you next year. No qualifying necessary. That par save locked you into a top 15 finish, which means we'll see you at Valhalla.
Music to my ears, my friend. Music to my ears. Thank you.
Congratulations, Michael Block. You have been tremendous to watch all week.
That's such a great sports story. Like, it's crazy because obviously golf requires a certain set of skills, right? But there are a lot of scratch golfers out there that aren't making the fucking tour.
Right.
They're never getting really a shot. Maybe there aren't a lot. I don't know how hard it is to be a scratch golfer, but I personally know a handful of scratch golfers, and like they're just out hustling the fucking Vegas courses. So to get that opportunity at the age of 47, nonetheless.
Yeah. Him and Drew Maggi are starting a podcast together.
Who's Drew Maggi?
the guy who was in the minors for so long and then
Yo, that'd be funny as fuck.
Yeah, it's called Dreams Do Come True. The Dreams Do Come True podcast.
LeVan out here cooking.
LeVan's got some ideas, man. We're about to start a media. You've heard of The Athlete. Now you got the Only Friends sports section, you know?
Right.
Dreams do come true. I love it.
Who in this room would be most likely to cry if they won a bracelet?
Yeah, definitely LeMay.
Me.
Definitely Conrad. Not me.
You guys are bugging.
The answer is definitely not me.
It's
I kind of
definitely.
figured it would be.
It's
I'm about to cry at that
yeah.
guy's acceptance
Yeah.
speech.
Well, that's different. Like, yeah, if I were in his shoes or like Drew Maggie's shoes, that would possibly make me cry. Because you're accomplishing something that like was so close but so out of reach forever.
Right, for so long, yeah.
Bracelets, I mean,
What
I
do
know
you
that's
mean?
true of bracelets, but it also just like feels so luck dependent. Like I personally, winning a bracelet would not feel. It's different now. 20 years ago, I would have felt like the most accomplished human being on the planet. But now, I wouldn't feel like a sense of accomplishment over winning a bracelet.
No, I get it because it's I mean, it depends, right? If you put your full focus into like tournaments and the World Series, and then you play for so long and then you bank one, yes. I think because that, but like if you're just playing and then just like you hit one, it's like, all right, well,
Yeah, I mean,
Your
happened
20
to get
years
lucky,
ago is
yeah.
mine today.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. And this is what you're dedicated to, and life hasn't smacked you down quite enough yet.
Well,
But I guess from my standpoint, it's like I have 2/3 where I thought I played really well and didn't make a mistake to bust.
Yeah.
Right. And one of them, I had like 70% of the chips in play, 10-handed, 7-handed, and 3-handed, and then just like lost flips to bust. So it's like if I win that bracelet instead, do I suddenly?
Well, that's the thing. Like with you, winning a bracelet is not going to define your career.
No, of course not. But I guess
know,
what I'm putting at is like for him, this accomplishment isn't luck based. Right. For Maggi getting called up and
that
then
hole
actually
one was
getting
a little lucky.
Sure, yeah. Like him qualifying moving forward is luck based.
I know.
But like him getting on to the championship round or whatever was largely determined by skill. And of course, there's always going to be a little bit of luck involved. But the point is, he didn't have to win the PGA Championship for his moment to be realized. Just like Drew Maggi didn't have to hit a home run his first major league at bat and then stay up in order for his dream to be realized, right? Like just that cup of coffee was enough.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to hang up his cleats and say like, job well done.
Right.
In poker, it's very different. Like we memorialize WSOP bracelets, but it's like you don't suddenly become an established pro because you win one. And you don't suddenly, it's not necessarily a total reflection. When Jason won his first last year in the, did he win the heads up last year? Or was that 2 years ago? What did Dan Smith win his bracelet in last year? The heads up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so back-to-back years, those maybe that wasn't Jason's first, but I thought it was. But like back-to-back years, those two win the heads up. And for Dan, at least, it was his first bracelet. I thought it might have been Jason's, but maybe not. Maybe it was his second or third. As well as like Foxen winning the 250K last year for his first bracelet. Yeah. Those are all reflective of a long career of hard work, dedication to their craft. And it really is reminiscent of like what they're truly skillful at, right? Yeah. I think like if I go out and win a bracelet, sure, those things still hold true. At some point in my life, I was more dedicated to MTTs than I am now. And playing MTTs is still a reflection of playing poker, right? There's still an underlying skill set there, albeit it's a bit different as you're on varying stack sizes and you have to consider other things. But at the end of the day, it'll be a fleeting moment. It will just be another bullet point on the resume.
I think you say that now, but like when the moment comes, it's gonna feel slightly different.
Nah, I was there when Brent won his, and
that wasn't you winning yours.
No, I know, but like even at that point, that was 2013, I think. No, 2011, I think. Yeah, I just didn't feel like any sort of jealousy or anything like that. I did when Fildo made the final table of the main. That was different. But that's because it was infinite money.
Right.
You shouldn't feel any jealousy.
No.
Well, you should if it's an achievement that means that much to you. This fucking cat, man.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
No?
No. Like I think like those are your
I can
friends.
tell you right now, if my best friend got called up to the Pirates, I'd be fucking jealous. I'd be wondering where my life went wrong, you know? Especially if like he didn't care. Like if Gumby just got fucking drafted, hated baseball, but threw 93, you know, they're just like, hey, you're pretty good at this. You're like, fine, I get. Like David Justice is like the most known case. Guy hated baseball.
Really?
He just fucking hated baseball.
I
He
didn't know
loved
that.
basketball.
He was so good.
He was a diehard basketball. Like that was his passion. But obviously his talent was baseball. He just showed up and collected a check. Guy fucking hated it. Just went to the World Series multiple times. Was a part of the rebuilding in the athletics organization when they went through Moneyball.
Oh, he was?
Yeah,
Old man justice. I
Yeah,
thought.
it was like his last season. I think he had come from the Yankees at that point.
Okay.
I think he was on the Yankees World Series team as well, if I'm not mistaken.
He may have been. No, I don't think he had.
Yeah, maybe not. I can't remember, but he was a journeyman at that point.
Yeah.
And like he was an integral part to a winning team. Like he fucking just got it done,
Yeah,
and the
he did.
guy hated the game.
That's crazy. I didn't know that at
If I
all.
were his friend, I would just be like, "Fuck you, man! Like, go be good at something else."
That's pretty crazy.
That's why I don't take up golf. You know, what if I'm just fucking great?
Golf is great. I love golf.
What if I were just great,
great?
and I hate it? You know,
I want to start playing golf more.
I'm here to struggle at pickleball instead.
Golf's fun. I want to start playing more.
I don't. I really don't. I hear Landon's pretty sharp though.
That's what people say.
Here, he can swing the sticks.
Yeah.
So that's
Corey-
the rumor floating
Corey's
around.
good.
Is he?
Yeah.
I see him hitting those foam balls in the backyard all the time. Might have to get you boys a putting green whenever I put in the pickleball court.
Wow.
There you go.
Right.
How's that going, by the way? What's the timeline for the pickleball court?
We're getting quotes now. I have a rendering, but there are some things I want to change on it. So I really hope to keep the whole thing under 100K, but I'm
The
not
airball
sure.
benches are probably going to push that over budget.
Yeah, they got to be custom. I haven't decided if I'm just gonna get
Some like tweets written on the wall and stuff.
in graffiti.
Yeah.
That would actually be kind of funny.
Went from selling your house to making a fucking custom backyard to like.
I mean, I was never really selling it.
I know.
I was just I was looking for the highest bidder, much like this bracelet bet. So if you want to bet against me here, come on. DMs are open. Let's go. I guess we can get to the clash of the Tritons,
No,
if you will.
not
no?
yet.
Why?
Not yet, because I have a bone to pick.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Oh boy.
We cannot be doing no .08 M.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
No.
Honestly, I'm with you. I don't know at what point I started saying K instead of grand. But even that was hard.
Like, I mean,
And I still refuse to say a 1.5K.
Yeah, 1.5.
Buy-in?
Right.
I don't
No.
mind that.
Fuck you.
But like for stuff like this,
No.
like it's the final table. Make it look good, you know? Make it look
It's not
good.
even about look. It's just like nobody talks like that. Nobody says 0.4 million. It's
Right.
400K.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We have a
That's
count-
It's actually 400 grand.
The best part
Yeah,
about it
exactly.
is like 400K. You're not like in .08 M is the same amount of character. So it's like, what are you doing?
What kind of conversion rate was that?
I'm just saying, like.
You just went from 400K to 0.08
because,
million?
you want to know why? Because I was thinking about the pitcher. No,
What the actual fuck?
on the pitcher, it's .08 M, and I was thinking of that.
It's definitely not
And I was-
0.08. That would be 80,000.
Yeah, whatever. 0.8, whatever. But yeah, I was thinking
I bet
of that.
you're really good at pot odds.
I am.
SPR, keeping track of the pot.
Quick shit. But I have a photographic memory, so when I started looking at that and I was listening to you, what you were saying last, yeah, it's fucked up.
Who did this?
Oh yeah, so this was Canterbury. Somebody in Canterbury did this.
Sounds
I
like some
think.
northern shit.
Yeah, it was some northern shit.
Take that shit to Canada.
And guess who won?
Who?
This guy Blake Boehm. He wins every
Oh, yeah, I know
tournament
him.
there.
I don't necessarily know him, but I recognize the picture.
He wins every single tournament that.
I feel like Canterbury's churned out some pros over the years. That's in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's really. I think young Chris K used to grind up there.
Really?
No?
No, he was a Rhode Islander.
Yeah, I know, but I think he went there when he was 19.
Okay, maybe.
I'm not positive, but I know. I'm pretty sure they're under 21.
Okay.
Again, not positive, but
Yeah.
I think that was where he grinded his early days.
It's so crazy to me, like thinking about there are places that are under 21. Like I didn't know that growing. Like I didn't get into poker till a little bit after, but like, yeah, it seems like I've always been around places 21 outside of Florida.
Well,
I think I'm going to start saying I'll see you in 0.25 hours instead of 15 minutes.
I like that. I like that because people can mistake it for 25 minutes, and then when I'm late, I have a baked-in excuse. Like, I can't help you didn't convert.
Yeah. Make them do math so they disguises your tardiness.
Look, I think that there are certain character flaws we all just have to accept if we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
And mine is that I will determine what time I need to be places and not some arbitrary thing that you told me. Sometimes
we
life
learned
gets
not
in
to
the way.
wait on you, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I think
that's very.
for a while, it's
we
like
just
you wait.
adjust.
Yeah, right.
What would you
Right.
wait for? You're going to order a bunch of food that I'm not going to eat.
I know. I mean,
You know, you don't need me there for that.
Right.
What do I need to see the menu? I'll take the water.
Yeah.
Sparkling if you have it. Hold the lemon. I don't want any fucking flavor. Okay.
Oh man.
Bring me your meat and a big
Yes.
salt shaker. You don't need to salt the meat.
Yeah, that is kind of tilting.
Why?
I've seen, because we'll get meat here, or we'll have stuff for the academy, and it's already seasoned.
So
and
good,
before
yeah.
you even taste it, you're already putting like salt and stuff on. I'm like,
No,
why don't you taste it first?
I've brought brisket here before, and let me tell you, there's a lot of fucking
Yeah,
salt
like,
and seasoning on the
taste it
brisket.
first.
It's out,
Just
man.
like,
It's in
doesn't
the
cook
juice.
out. If anything, it seeps. It
Nah, that
seeps in.
jus is salty as fuck.
Man,
Basically saline.
yeah.
You guys don't get it. Salt is a very necessary mineral that we need to ingest, and it brings out the flavors in the meat.
Listen,
you know,
I have steaks salting in my fridge as we speak.
that's what I'm talking about. You know what I would do once you serve it to me?
Put more salt.
Put
Yeah,
more salt.
fucking salt it.
Well, here's the thing though, which is probably happens a lot. A little tip for anybody, wants to make steaks. You want to dry brine your steaks, right? So like when you just salt it and then throw it on the grill, well, just the outside is salty. The inside of the steak is not salty at all. Right?
Exactly, Brian.
That's why
Exactly.
people. But no, he is correct where you put more salt on it and you want to people have finishing salt, whatever.
Oh yeah,
Right. But the little Salt Bay
I fucking
action.
hate that guy,
Right.
man.
But he probably makes good steaks.
Yeah, but
Probably
what a
way
chode.
overpriced.
What a chode.
But anyways, what you want to do is like 12 hours, 24 hours before, salt the steaks, then put them in the fridge, and the salt penetrates the meat. So then the whole thing is salted all the way through.
Right.
Right?
I'm here for that.
So that's a little tip for everybody.
You know who's really salty is Jason Koon.
That was perfect.
Oh man. Oh man. All right, let's talk about it. The Clash of the Tritons, the Triton main event wrapped up today. Huge congratulations to my man Jason Koon. He won
just
his
does
second
it.
Triton event
He's so good.
for this series, his 7th overall, which is a record, I believe.
It was. It was a record at 6, I think.
Do you think he will
Took it back
Do you
at
think
6.
he will surpass do you think he'll win more Triton events than Phil Hellmuth wins World Series events?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so too.
absolutely.
Actually though, I don't know, man.
What do you mean? He's what, 18?
Yeah, but
And these things happen 4 times a year.
no. Hellmuth had 16, but
It happens 4 times a year.
That was
Yeah,
4
but
times a year.
I don't
And
know.
the fields
Fields
are
are small.
so much smaller.
he's got a
They are
second kid on the
playing-
way. I don't know how much more he wants to keep doing this.
He loves it, man.
I
He
don't
loves
think.
it.
I don't think. Koon's
I think
the
he
type of
wants to
person
keep
that doesn't
doing
want
it.
to stop. Want to stop playing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You get into that high roller lifestyle and you're living on the turn of a card for a majority of your life, and then suddenly you find your significant other, I believe his college sweetheart.
Yep.
They have 2 beautiful children, or 1 beautiful child and 1 on the way. He's got everything he wants, man. Might be good at 7.
But he's just sharp. He just wants to play the game.
Yeah.
He might just want
Maybe he wants to play a bigger game.
Go out on top.
I mean, that's a pretty fucking big game.
100K buy-in.
Yeah, but poker compared to like the other games available in life is so small, you know?
That is kind of true.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's true.
imagine we all just passed up on tech jobs and finance and all these other big industries where they dwarf us. The entry level money is more than the best of us can make. So who knows? But yeah, him and podcast friend Dan Smith, Pickleball Dan, if you will. I gotta say something here. I like both of these guys a lot. I hate it when mom and dad fight. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me really uncomfortable. But I wasn't gonna take sides, but the more I think about it, I got to take Dan's side.
I am.
Wow.
Wait.
Go on.
Wait, because it's not why you think.
Okay.
It's not why you think.
Okay.
Jason's an absolute beast, right? He's a crusher. He's one of the best in the industry. Pickleball Dan is just out here trying to have a good time with his recreation, enjoying himself in a little 100K, spending some of that pickleball sponsorship money. He's not a pro gambler, so to speak. He's out here fucking dinking on people.
Yo, tell that to the fucking Triton commission that wouldn't let him sign up as a rec.
That's true. That is true.
They don't know that he's Pickleball Dan, bro.
That is true. He should have sold the Pickleball Dan angle a lot fucking harder.
He should have made a video of him playing pickleball, like a full.
That would be so
workout.
great. That'd be so great. Like just a one shot where it's just getting like each stroke, And then he turns to the camera and is like, "Hi, I'm Pickleball Dan." You may know me from such prop bets as losing to a man with a frying pan. Oh man, I'm giving him a hard time. I truly do love Dan to death. I was very uncomfortable watching this encounter between the two of them, and like the thing is that I get it.
Are they friends outside?
We've all known each other for so fucking long. They've been playing together for the better part of a decade.
I get it from both sides.
Yeah, let's roll the clip before we really dissect it.
I think I'm allowed to ask for a moment. People can reject it, and I will say you're the only person this whole week who berated me.
Buddy, I had 2 VIPs, not one, but 2 come up to me and say how awful it was playing with you because you berated them for having a conversation on a live poker table. If you want to have that conversation with them, that's fine, but you act like this is a one-time occurrence. You literally do this every time we're playing. Doesn't matter what the stake. Like, it's obnoxious, man. You got 5 time banks, you got 20 bigs, you know what you're going to do. Like, it's just obnoxious. This is what we do for a living, like learn how to operate.
I think if you wanted to address that point, you could have said it in a much kinder way away from the table.
Buddy, you're
okay, I hear
out of line. You're the one who's out of line. You literally do this all the time.
Let's get some drinks.
Of this whole encounter, he was so good.
Well,
go ahead.
Tell them how it started because it didn't show there.
Yeah. So basically, well, just roll the one I edited. I kept all that in.
Okay.
It's the last thing I uploaded.
Gotta download it.
Oh, okay. All right. So, in essence, what ends up happening, you can just not worry about it. Dan just asked for the table talk to kind of subside while he was making a decision. And the thing is that I get it from both perspectives because the actual strategic decision that Dan had to make was rather trivial, right? Like he had 17 big blinds, pocket nines after Steve-O limped the cutoff. Like he's just all in.
Yeah.
Rather trivial decision. Yeah. And even if it's not trivial, he has plenty of time to arrive at the right conclusion. He has, a minute and a half or something along those lines, depending on how long the time banks are.
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's up if you want to go to it.
No, that's all right. Don't worry about it. So I understand like everybody's point of view here. I think that the thing that's non-trivial is the money at play. And I don't know like how much the money factor matters, right? But from my perspective as a third-party observer who knows both of these guys, I understand this interaction as the way that they see the game very differently, right? I've talked a fair amount of strategy with Jason and probably more pickleball strategy than anything with Dan. But just like knowing both of them and the way that they approach studying the game and like Jason is very mechanical, very, very precise, right? Like he's put in endless hours of work to become a very technical player. And for him, I think a lot of these decisions just are relatively automatic. Mm-hmm. I get the impression that Dan is very studied, but also a lot more on the exploitative spectrum. And something weird happened, right? Like Steve-O limped the cutoff. That's definitely not going to be standard practice at a 100K final table. So I think that, like, in this particular instance, Dan sees it through the lens of, I want to get this decision absolutely correct every time that, or this one specific time that I'm put in it, where Jason sees it as just another decision in a vacuum that you're going to make endless amounts of time, and you just always choose the option that produces the highest EV in a vacuum, right? Which is jam, right? So I think that that's where the frustrations boil up from both of them. I think that I understand both of their perspectives. Lamanna and I were in this situation maybe 10 years ago or so. we were at the Venetian. We were playing a 10-20 game that Gabe Thayer had been putting on. So he was the early version of the game runners, right? For whatever reason, and honestly, he fit the profile so perfectly. Like, he's literally every game runner I've ever come in contact with. Talks a big fucking game and plays zero goddamn hands. Like, that's Gabe to a nutshell. That's Harrison. That's Doc Sands. That's everybody I've ever seen run a fucking game. They just talk a whole lot, and then they never play any fucking hands. Jeremy's the only exception, and it's why he's the goddamn best. He's the GOAT for a reason, because he is always putting himself on a razor's edge of being broke.
That's true.
But he has the best games, and that's a big reason why. So Gabe would get these like 10, 20, 25, 50 games running, often at the Venetian and built around Jamie Gold. So this particular session, it was built around Bob Bright. So it was me, Brian, Bob, Gabe, a handful of other like 5-10 Venetian wrecks. We're playing 10-20 uncapped. Relatively big game, but like not astronomical. It was just big for us at the time. Might have been like 2010, 2011, something like that. So Brian's in the 3 seat. I'm in the 1. And a pot is happening. I don't even want to qualify it as a big pot. It's just a fucking pot. And to be fair, the 2 seat is involved, who's between us. But he's involved with Gabe or someone else who's completely across the table. And it's not the 2 seat who's making the decision. It's whoever's across the table. So Brian and myself are talking, and Bob Bright, I believe, is in like the 4, and he's also in the conversation. And Gabe just like, he might not even been in the hand. It might have been like the 2 seat and somebody else. And Gabe just like yells at us like we're children. And I just look at him, I'm like, fuck you. I'm 30.
That's great.
What is happening right now? He's like, there's a big pot going on. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, yeah, there's a pot taking place, and yes, we're carrying on a conversation, and perhaps that might be rude, but if it is, the man who is subjected to this is welcome to ask us to please give him a minute. Right? So, like, I was super annoyed. That was his style. He was a big table captain. And, like, you know, he wanted to police the game and run it how he ran it. I didn't make any friends after that session for sure.
To be clear, it's the manner in which he told you. Is that what you had the biggest problem with?
No, it's just
the fact that he had
just the fact that somehow table talk was so disruptive to another human being. Like,
that's not involved in the hand. Like,
even if it were, like, the other day I had a hand where I jammed river in a bomb pot for like 30,000 or so, and the pot was like 20. So it ends up being like an 80K pot, pretty big for 100, sure. But the game was all pros at this point, and it was against I think a Brazilian pro. And he's like in the tank, and he's like, guys, like I think Stu, one of the game runners, and somebody else was like having a conversation. And he's like, can you please just like give me a minute to think? Meanwhile, he's been in the tank for like 3.5 minutes already. And then he turns off the music and then tanks for like another 5 minutes. And it's just like, I mean, fine, you know, whatever. I respect your need for this, but like, what if there were 4 wrecks in the game and they were the ones chat? Like, this isn't going to fly kind of thing. You know what I mean? You just have to learn to make decisions under pressure. You don't get to, like, you know, create the environment that will allow you to perform the best. That's just not the way. Like, there's just no scenario where I could imagine being in the tank, needing to think, and asking somebody to be quiet. Now, I'm saying all that, like, making it seem like I'm really hard behind Jason in this situation. But I'm not, and for one very specific reason.
What's that?
This is a televised final table.
Okay.
I think he embarrassed Dan, and I don't think that's very fair.
Yeah.
Like, I very much felt for Dan in that moment. I thought he handled himself with complete and utter class. I think that he said all of the right things in order to kind of just like illustrate that this isn't the time or the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand where, to Jason, the cameras don't matter. He's on this stage a lot. And him and Dan have been playing since pre-Black Friday. So I'm sure that this is something that's probably boiled over, where, you know, he kind of mentioned that VIPs had said something to him.
Apparently the VIP was Boski.
If that's true, that's so fucking hilarious. Although, for what it's worth, like, Boski's been playing with those guys since pre-Black Friday as well. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, it wasn't the right time or place, and I think it made a lot of people uncomfortable, except Sean Winter, who found the opportunity to make it the most comedic thing to ever happen.
What did he say?
So the very next hand, Jason and Dan were still like chirping each other, and Sean was under the gun. He goes, "Guys, I'm the shortest one, and I have a decision to make." He has Jack 3 off. And he just mucks his hand.
To be fair,
Wait, did he say something about disqualification?
Oh, later, Steve-O told Jason to shut the fuck up, and Jason was like, "Did you just tell me to shut the fuck up?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm pissed off too. Like, this matters to me a lot, yada, yada, yada." And then Sam Greenwood was like, I think we should issue them all a disqualification." And Sean Winter goes, "If I hear one more STFU, then that's going to be DQs all around."
That's so good.
To be fair, Jason
guy.
is on the right side here, right? As far as like rules go.
No, I think Dan is on the right side.
No, I mean, I think Dan could ask for his moment. I think 100% Dan can ask for his moment, and I think he's well within his right.
Okay, but what I'm talking about here is the actual rule. So there's nothing to say that Jason can't just say, "Actually, no, I'm going to keep talking. I'm not breaking any rules."
I think most floor people...
We're talking about etiquette, right?
Yeah, but I think most floor people will enforce etiquette in a very loose gentleman's agreement type of way, where they'll politely ask Jason to stop. And if he's
being obnoxious and being really loud, that's one thing. But if he's just...
It's subjective, though.
Yeah, it's just like... please
it's a slippery slope to enforce then.
Well, that's why I kind of painted the picture that I did where we're playing in the cash game, where it's just like, it's both non-enforceable and kind of just bad for the overall experience outside of the person that it directly affects in that moment, right? So it's like, you always want to be at the game that's too loud. Yeah, always. And there's been
a fun table.
Right.
Yeah, there's been a lot of moments throughout my career where I can point to situations where I absolutely relished being in that environment and somebody else kind of poo-pooed the fun. My very first WSOP final table in 2011 was the introduction of the shoe bomb by the Brits at the World Series. So we were on the outer table. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We're still six-handed. And it was me and Thomas Middleton, who they called Mitty, or Hit the Hole was his online name. So the Brit rail is behind them. My drunken American rail is behind me. And everybody's like 20 deep. So they're doing soccer chants like, "Hit the hole, hit the hole, hit the hole," while drinking beer out of a fucking shoe. And my idiot belligerent friends are just screaming who knows what. And it becomes this competition of who can be louder. It was to the point where you legitimately could not hear the dealer's action. And, you know, the other players at the final table were like, "Can we put an end to this? Like, this isn't a fun playing environment. Like, I need to be able to hear the bet sizings and things of that nature." And I understand where they were coming from. But from my perspective, it's like, one, it's a visual game, and two, this is the greatest fucking environment I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
From somebody that like creates this environment often, just like I'm fun, loud, mostly I'm the loudest table in the room usually if I'm with a couple of good people.
You, Stout, and fucking teammate could all go laugh in a corner somewhere, and we don't all hear it 100 miles away.
So like I understand when people have asked me, "Can you give me a moment? We have a decision." Like, and I understand. And I like kind of like whatever. Just step back for a second.
Well, I think generally that'll always be the courtesy that will be extended by the loud person. But I think in this particular instance, like Jason was kind of like at his wit's end. because again, I haven't played with Dan in so fucking long, man. I don't even know. So I don't know if this is like consistent behavior or whatever. But it appears that it was like, you know, kind of at the forefront of Jason's mind, and it kind of triggered a response, right? I would imagine both would have wished it didn't happen in a public way like this, because now we're talking about it.
Yeah, of course.
Right? If this just happens on a side table with no cameras around, it just, you know, it just happens. Dan probably doesn't feel nearly as called out or embarrassed about it. Jason probably wouldn't need to get so aggressive and belabor the point on and on about it. And, you know, we would just move on with life. And Dan would probably still continue to request. And, you know, some people would probably still be rubbed the wrong way by it. But the fact that it happened publicly now, it does carry a lot more weight, I think, in the sense that it's just so shitty for both, right? Because Jason comes off like hardcore aggro, and Dan kind of comes off as like put in a situation to be relatively embarrassed in front of his peers.
Yeah.
And I think that sucks for everybody involved, because I don't really think anyone's right or wrong. Like, I definitely don't, as much as I say, like, I was annoyed by Gabe when he did it to me. To Guapo's point, it was mostly the tone. Like, the fact that it happened bothered me, but it was more so the way that it happened, right? Because I understand etiquette, and I understand that not everybody is me, and not everybody's going to handle it the same way.
Well, I don't like it when somebody does it that's not in the hand. Like, that's happened to me before,
but,
too.
You know,
it's like,
sometimes,
not in the hand.
sometimes the person in the hand won't speak up for himself. And, you know, Gabe might have sensed that, and, you know, maybe it was a VIP that he was protecting. Like, whatever. At the end of the day, we're all going to have our differences of opinion. And I don't think that there's a particular right or wrong here. That's why it's etiquette, right? And not a hard, fast rule. I think it becomes more of an issue whenever the actual encounter itself becomes intolerant or aggressive, right? We had this happen in Bobby's room maybe a year and a half ago. It was one of the first times I got to play with Eric Person. We're throwing a fucking party. Like, actually a literal party. It was someone's birthday, and Eric brought a cookie cake. I think it was one of the Reg's birthdays. So he and his wife bring a cookie cake in. We're literally just having a blast. Like, the loudest table in the room by far. We're playing 100, 200, and it's effectively playing like 400, 800. There's straddles, double straddles, blind raises. I got like 100,000 in pre-flop with tens and was good. Like, just wild things going on. And there was a limit game going on behind us. It was one of the mixed games that was orchestrated by David Gray at the time. And he was such a sourpuss about there being any fun. Like, he demanded us to turn off the music at first. And that was before we even had gotten loud. So we turned the music off, and then people get loud. And it's like, we're fucking gambling, you know? And he just kept getting more and more and more irritated. It's like, why? What is so bothersome? You're min betting the entire time that you're at this table. You know, you're clicking min raises, you're calling min bets. Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of variance, man. Are you shocked? Like, is that what you're so upset about? Is that you're not winning today? You know, and it became one of those things where it's like, why are you dampening such a good game? There was
because he's not in the game.
There was well over $1 million on the table, and it was all in fucking play.
Yeah, it's annoying.
And, you know, once, like, he threatened to get us kicked out of Bobby's room. And once the floor came over and was like, listen, like, I don't want to have to do this, but these guys are longstanding, you know, customers here. Like, we have to respect them. They're in this room too, like, yada, yada, yada. The game just died. It just died so fast. There wasn't another straddle. There wasn't another pot over 40K. Like, all of the air was just sucked out of the fucking room. And it's like, man, you just don't ever want to be in a gambling environment and have that be the case. You don't want to sterilize it. But to Dan's point, the game he was playing was not going to be a good one.
No.
It was 7 of the best players in the world.
Right.
8 of the best players in the world, whatever. There's no real edge to be had here by having a good time, so to speak.
Then people are going to start splashing around because,
right?
Because you know,
right.
They're having a good time. No, not going to work that way.
Yeah. So I think really this boils down to like time and place. Personally, as a friend of both, or at least somebody that I consider both to be acquaintances, I would have liked to have seen this handled off the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's what it really boils down to for me, is that it's so easy in a situation where you're amongst peers that you feel like you can speak to them the way that you would handle being spoken to and not recognize that it's disrespectful to the onlookers, right? Yeah. So like, I don't think Jason meant to be disrespectful to Dan.
No, I don't think he meant to be like come off bad.
Right. I think he meant to be as aggressive as he was, and I think he meant to prove his point.
Yeah.
But my point is, I don't think it occurred to him like how disrespectful this will look to the onlooker, right? Who doesn't recognize that these guys are peers and they play together all the time, and there is a certain aspect of like policing the game, and they just had a public disagreement.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Jason
unfortunate.
Kind of pushed the envelope a little bit. I mean, we didn't see it in that clip, but he kept going for a little while. Like,
yeah, he did. But man, so much comedy came from it. I mean, it's whatever. I don't know. I've lost my temper a bunch in situations like that, and you feel like you kind of keep getting egged on, or your point isn't being heard. You kind of want to double down. I'm not trying to apologize for Jason. Like, I don't think either of them are right. I don't necessarily think either of them are super wrong. I think that the unfortunate nature of it is that it was public.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I mean, I think the other 6 at the table probably share a similar sentiment with both of them, right? I would imagine the table would just be straight divided as to whether or not it's reasonable to be talking or reasonable to ask someone to not talk, or maybe all of them think that it's just reasonable to kind of like show a little deference and kind of let somebody off the hook whenever they have a decision. But it's really a non-story, all things considered, for how long we've been talking about it.
I think it happened. Majority of the case, it just works itself out, right? Like, a bunch of people are talking, have a good time at the table, and then someone all of a sudden, a big pot creeps up, and you can see a guy's like has a tough decision, and most of the time people are just like, oh, let's just let him play the hand.
Yeah,
and
usually
then it kind of dies down. The guy, like plays his hand, makes his decision, and then they go on.
Usually the way it works out is that a pot grows street over street, and then by the time you get to the river, the whole table kind of notices like, oh, something big is happening.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we should chill.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I didn't even think about it, but like the high stakes poker stream was very much like this. When I had aces on the river facing airball jam, I had fucking people beaking in every ear. Nick and Lynn are just like cackling in my left ear. Doug is like, doing his thing in my right ear. Person's yelling across the table. And I'm just, whatever. Like,
you knew that was going to be the environment you were in.
Right, but it also had zero fucking impact on my decision.
No.
Right? It's just like my hand calls some of the time, and I just need to decide if I want it to be now or not.
Right. Shouldn't have been.
And that decision isn't going to be affected by anything going on in the environment other than trying to pick up a towel on Nick, maybe.
Right.
So it's like, I think a lot of this does boil down to the places where you need to show the most deference are to the people who have the least, let's call it the least pre-programmed strategy. Mm-hmm. The people who are truly just like thinking in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that necessarily qualified for Dan, but this was a very unique spot where a guy limps the cutoff and you have a jam stack, right? It's like probably always jamming 9s.
Right.
Can't imagine you're doing anything else, but what if he has like Jack 10 suited?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different spot now.
Right, yeah, for sure. And it's, very big situation, right? Final table, 100K, a lot of money in the line.
Yeah. Where did Dan end up finishing?
5th. He actually Koon knocked him out.
Of course.
10s versus ace queen, or ace queen versus 10s.
That's the last thing. Sean Deeb actually said the funniest thing I've ever seen him say. I don't know why people think Sean's funny. He's just not. But this was hilarious. So Dan tweeted, Chigwick gets introduced at the final table as one of the best players of his generation. I get called an avid chess player. And then he puts up a middle finger emoji. And like, I know Dan's humor. He's definitely running a bit here, and he's been doing it for 3 days. It's fucking hilarious.
It's pretty good.
And Ali was very apologetic in his response. He's like, super sorry. Like, I was just trying to switch it up and make you the grandmaster of poker, yada, yada, yada. And Dan goes, just busting balls. Much respect. You're great. And Deeb goes, are you sure? Because he's always talking when you're mid-hand.
That was a good one.
Oh, man. All right, Deeb. You get the like for that one.
He does. Yo, shout out to our boy. Our boy Fausto.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Boy Fausto shipped the bird.
He did.
My man Fausto out there grinding the LA streets, won the California State Poker Championship. I don't know if it was the main event or not. It was a mystery
bounty.
Mystery
bounty.
Yeah.
He got some bounties.
Yeah,
he got the trophy. He got 20-some thousand, maybe
about
for first.
$25K.
Yeah.
With the bounties.
Good job, Fausto.
Former Academy attendee. He's actually going to be here for the MTT Academy.
He's coming?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's just going to come and hang out, see how things have changed since the last time he was here. It's been a couple years.
Yep.
But yeah, I think he's here for that, and then he's here for the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
So
grinding away.
It's summertime.
Hopefully that momentum carries through.
It is WSOP time.
It is WSOP time.
Get your bracelet bets in.
Anybody wants to shoot me a DM, the current bid is 35 to 1. I'm willing to negotiate small, but not much, because I do think it's a fair price.
All right. Well, Snoop Dogg paid for it, so.
Paid for what?
He paid for it.
Oh, free Snoop?
He paid for a free Snoop.
All right, man. Well, free Snoop Dogg. Free Snoop Dogg, $4.99. Eden, you got to cut these spaces earlier, man. You get a little too lit once midnight rolls around, you know? Turns into the grumpy old man Eden Rocks stream. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back again tomorrow at noon Pacific. Starting Wednesday, we are going to be shifting to a late night pod because of the Academy. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be at 8 p.m. Thursday, as I mentioned, we'll be joined by TJ. I haven't learned how to pronounce his last name yet. Huzhurinsky?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's it.
We'll be talking all things fitness and nutrition then. And then next week, WSOP is here. So our new time will be 10:30 a.m. Pacific throughout the summer. Be sure to tune in. We're going to be giving you guys all of the highlights and the fun things that are going on behind the scenes of WSOP. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll see you all then.
Later.
Peace.